When you buy a new house, you might say,
"Shut the front door."
Meaning?
No, seriously, shut the front door. We own this house now.
But you actually need to say,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right. Local State Farm agent is there to help you choose the coverage you need.
Welcome to my crib. No one says that anymore, but I don't care.
So just remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm.
Here's Michelle Murray in the Cleaning Traffic Center.
In the district, accident activity now reported on DC 295 northbound after Benning Road. That has caused very slow traffic from the 11th Street Bridge. Earlier accident, though, on the BW Parkway northbound before 410 has been cleared. Traffic is still very slow from Kenilworth Avenue. Also, look out for slow-going traffic right now. Traveling on the freeway between the 14th Street Bridge and the 3rd Street Tunnel heading eastbound. And also, you will find delays heading westbound from the 3rd Street Tunnel headed towards the 14th Street Bridge. Inner loop before reaching Marlborough Road, 2 right lanes blocked. That due to storm debris. Traffic is jammed from 450. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Storm Watch 7 forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy with scattered storms. Lows in the mid to upper 70s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny. Scattered afternoon storms. Highs in the mid-90s. Right now, 85 degrees in Washington. I'm Heather Curtis, Sun News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Mark Levin.
Casting them from the underground command post, deep from the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Man, do we have a lot to do. All I think you'll find compelling and important. This guy, Zoran Mamdani, is that it, Mr. Producer? Gotta make sure I learn how to pronounce his name. He's got the Democrat nomination. He is a Islamist who embraces the terror slogan of Hamas. But he doesn't mean to. Who embraces BDS. But he doesn't mean to. He's a full-scale anti-Semite. But he denies it. We're going to get into him. Trust me on this. Because if he gets elected, you can say goodbye to New York City, the greatest city in America. It is. I'm a Philadelphian, but we know what's what. So we have to fight this. And can you imagine all the good people leaving New York? And then the certain people who flock into New York again. I'm not talking about Muslims. I'm talking about radical Islamists like the kinds you've seen at Columbia and NYU and all the rest of it. And the media will say, well, that's bigoted. No, it's not bigoted. I didn't attack Muslims. I attacked the Islamists. But we don't really give a damn what the left thinks. They're destroying our country. But here's the deal, folks. I've been behind this microphone almost 25 years. And I learned from the greatest, Rush Limbaugh, who's a close friend of mine, as is my brother, Sean Hannity. And there are other great people in this business, too. But I've told you many times, Rush Limbaugh always said, respect your audience. He loved his audience. You, my wonderful audience, he loved you, as I do. But it's important that some policing goes on, that there's some integrity. American people who come to conservatives, hardworking men and women, middle class, blue collar, who come to them and lie to them, lie to you, my people and my audience, lie to Russia's old audience or Hannity's audience, lie to Republicans and conservatives and MAGA, just lie. They conceal who they are. They deceive who they are. I've spent weeks now exposing Chatsworth Carlson. He's a snake. He's a fraud. He's a phony. I have not spent enough time on a true fraudster, Steve Bannon. He's a con man. He's a con artist. You need to know about this man. The media loved him. Why? Because he's a leaker. He leaked against President Trump. He leaked against his family when he was at the White House. One of the reasons they kicked his considerable ass out of there is because he's a leaker. They leaked to the left-wing media, as Carlson did and does. That was exposed. Carlson has article after article, text after text, smearing Donald Trump. Not just policy, no, just attacking him as a human being. And Bannon has done the same thing. And it all came to a head now when the president decided, I've got to take out these nuclear sites in Iran. Because you see, these guys are invested in with newsletters and platforms and God knows what. They're grifters. That's the bottom line. Like Rush used to say, follow the money. Defending Qatar, defending Iran. I don't even think they're really isolationists. I think they embrace our enemies, that they're thoroughly un-American. What explains their conduct? They accused Trump of starting World War III or going to start World War III in complicity in the lead up to a military operation against the enemy. That's not what red-blooded Americans think. That's not what patriotic Americans think. I want you to listen to this. You draw your own conclusion. The Wrap. Steve Bannon pleads guilty in scheme to steal $15 million from border wall donors. That's you. You. You were the mark. Steve Bannon, a longtime Trump ally and former chief strategist, avoided jail time by pleading guilty Tuesday. This is February 2025. This is a few months ago. To defrauding donors who thought their money was being used to help build a wall at the southern border of the United States. You were the target. Bannon was charged with 5 felony counts and faced up to 15 years in prison. The guilty plea filed in New York criminal court allows Bannon to avoid jail time as long as he does not commit any more crimes. Wow. And the plea comes with a 3-year conditional discharge and waives his right to appeal. Bannon is not required to pay restitution. He was indicted in 2022 on state charges, including money laundering, conspiracy, and fraud, after creating an online fundraising campaign titled We Build the Wall. The donations were promoted to be used to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. According to reports, Bannon and his partners raised over $15 million. I'm just reading the news. I started looking at this. It was unbelievable. If this is the least of it, there's more. This was not the first time Bannon was charged with a defrauding scheme. He was charged in 2020 by federal prosecutors in a different case. However, he was pardoned by Donald Trump during the final hours of his first term. The same Donald Trump who he stabs in the back. Think about that. Politico. Bannon ally Chinese billionaire arrested on fraud charges. How many of you know Chinese billionaires who are arrested on fraud charges? This guy presents himself as the everyday American. Federal prosecutors in New York arrested exiled Chinese billionaire and Steve Bannon ally Wen Gu Wednesday morning, this is 2023, on charges that he and his financier orchestrated a more than $1 billion fraud scheme aimed at Gao's hundreds of thousands of online followers. Gao also goes by the name of Miles Kwok, and his financier were charged in a 12-count indictment with wire fraud, securities fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, and it goes on. 2020, Bannon was arrested on federal fraud charges while aboard the guy's yacht. Bannon pleaded not guilty, was subsequently pardoned on those charges by former President Donald Trump. I don't know all the ins and outs of this. The article goes on and on and on, but he needed a pardon. So let's just sum this up. The guy gets a pardon on federal charges. The guy pleads guilty to state charges of ripping off average Americans who think they're donating for a wall. Pretty heavy, don't you think? And here's the New York Post. 2021, Trump pardons former White House strategist Steve Bannon. President Trump on Tuesday night pardoned former campaign aide and White House strategist. And of course, Trump fired him from the White House because he wouldn't stop leaking on his coworkers, apparently like Jared Kushner. And then some guy writes a book, I think his name was Wolf, and he basically accuses Don Jr. of treason. And that was it for Trump. He kicked his fat ass out of the White House. Now, this guy, by the way, has called for the investigation and deportation of Elon Musk. He's called for the investigation of Kayleigh McEnany, Sean Hannity, the Murdochs, and me, meaning he wants us prosecuted and thrown in prison because we support Israel. This guy said today that Israel is not our ally, that we should drop Israel. To the We Build the Wall GoFundMe campaign launched by U.S. Air Force veteran Brian Colford, who lost 3 limbs. This is horrible. Horrible. There seems to be no line this guy won't cross. But this scam was obviously aimed at you. He was busted in August aboard the Lady May, a $28 million yacht owned by a Chinese billionaire. I mentioned him before. Bannon's pardon was among a wave of last-minute clemencies the White House was expected to announce ahead of the Biden inauguration. Well, he got it. He got it. It goes on. There's many more details here. We're not going to spend all day on this, but I feel I have a public service responsibility as a Trump supporter, as a MAGA supporter, as a conservative, as a radio host who has spent decades trying to build this movement. You know, Bill Buckley through the John Birch Society out of the conservative movement. These people are not MAGA. They are fake MAGA. They have latched onto this. They're grifters. That's what they are. I know you've heard of them. I know you thought good of them. They're no good. Now, they can come back with all the names and smears and I'm a Jew and, you know, Tel Aviv and all that. I don't mind Tel Aviv, Mark. Because I don't hate Israel. But here's the thing, Bannon. You're always going to be a fraud for the rest of your life. That's your legacy. You're a crook. You confess to it to keep your fat ass out of prison. That's what you did. I've never been on a boat with a Chinese billionaire who's charged with crimes either. I've never needed a pardon from President Trump either. There was a great piece written, wish I'd known about it earlier, in The Hill by somebody named John McGillian. Steve Bannon wants you to believe he's a war general for the forgotten man, a blue-collar prophet in cargo pants, ready to torch the global elites on behalf of truckers and farmers. But strip away the flannel and fury, and what you'll find isn't a populist. It's a financier, a Hollywood operator, a man worth $20 million, LARPing as a cold-dusted crusader for the common man. This is the hustle. Bannon talks like a patriot but lives like a prince. He rails against the globalists while building his own global network. He warns you about the machine even as he becomes a vital gear in it. Let's rewind. Before Breitbart, before the War Room podcast, which should be called the Fraud Room, before the MAGA movement and talk of deconstructing the administrative state, Bannon was something far less revolutionary, a banker, and not just any banker. He was a high-powered executive at Goldman Sachs, the very temple of global finance he now pretends to rage against. He didn't walk picket lines. He walked into boardrooms. He advised mergers and helped move capital around like puzzle pieces in the portfolios of the powerful. He got in on the deals most Americans would never even hear about, let alone benefit from. One of those deals, Seinfeld. After leaving Goldman, he began his own firm and worked with Westinghouse to successfully acquire a minority stake in Castle Rock Entertainment, the producer of Seinfeld. As part of that deal, Bannon accepted a stake in the royalties of the show. Holy mackerel. So why do you have to defraud people? Isn't that enough? Translation, every time you laughed at Kramer's entrance, Bannon got richer. While working class Americans were juggling bills and wondering if they can afford another tank of gas, Bannon was cashing passive income from a sitcom about nothing. And when that well started to run dry, he pivoted to image. He went Hollywood. He did not go as a writer or director, but as a producer, the shadowy figure behind the scenes, raising money, shaping narratives, angling for influence. He produced a slate of forgettable documentaries with big ambitions and little reach, hoping to strike gold or at least strike a nerve. He sniffed around the Vanity Fair circuit, elbowed his way through the fringes of Los Angeles power lunch culture, tried to matter in rooms where creative types mingled with capital, but it didn't stick. He was too blunt, too ideological, too out of place. So he rebranded. When the red carpet didn't welcome, he found an alternative stage. He embraced Carhartt cosplay, grew out the hair, declared himself a champion of the people. But make no mistake, he never stopped living like royalty. His personal life was padded by old Goldman money. The bank account never left Bel Air. The Rolex never came off. He wasn't just out of touch with the working class. He was orbiting them from space, occasionally parachuting down to give a speech about sovereignty and struggle, then retreating back to his fortified compound of fine scotch. Deceit and duplicity aren't bugs in Bannon's matrix. They're part of the operating system. I'm going to take a break and finish the article, and then we're going to move on. But you need to know. You need to know who this fraudster is, who these grifters are, and how they operate. They are the establishment. They are the establishment. And they've been undermining President Trump's administration left and right. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Folks, you work hard, you save, you plan for the future. And if you want to help preserve what you've built, now's the time to take a serious look at physical gold. Gold doesn't depend on Wall Street. It doesn't care what the Fed does. It's a proven store of value that can add strength, stability, and security to your retirement money. With all the uncertainty out there, rising debt, rising costs, and so forth, you need something real. That's why I recommend Advantage Gold. They make it easy to learn how to move part of your IRA or 401k into real gold and silver, backed by experience, integrity, and top-rated service. Call right now, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Protect what you've earned with something you can hold in your hand and trust in your heart. Call right now, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. It's never too late to make your portfolio stronger, smarter, and more secure. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
In the district on DC 295 North and after Benning Road, there is an incident that has an accident blocking the right side. If traffic is getting by to the left, it is jammed up from the 11th Street Bridge. Also watch for delays southbound between Burroughs Avenue and East Capitol Street. On the Beltway inner loop before Ritchie Marlborough Road, there is debris in the roadway blocking the two right lanes and traffic is jammed from 450. You'll also find delays on the inner loop from 66 to the 270 spur and from Old Georgetown Road all the way to Kenilworth Avenue. And the outer loop still heavy through Tyson's and from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageDoorCare.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Tonight, partly cloudy with a chance for scattered showers, lows in the mid to upper 70s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with scattered afternoon showers, highs in the mid 90s.
Sponsored by Rumble. Want to join 59 million others who are tuning in to a fresh alternative to mainstream news and information that isn't delivered with an agenda? Enjoy your daily dose of happenings from a platform that fights to protect your free speech. Download the Rumble app from your Apple Play or Google Play Store today and choose from thousands of creators covering everything from financial markets to daily events and more. Choose an open internet and free expression. Choose rumble.com today.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at DonorShoes.org.
You want to grow your business. I mean, who doesn't? Constant Contact's marketing platform makes marketing way easier and way more effective. Even if you know nothing about marketing, you can easily create email, text, social, events, and digital campaigns in just a few clicks. It's why over 500,000 business owners trust Constant Contact for their digital marketing needs. Constant Contact, helping the small stand tall. Get a free 30-day trial when you go to ConstantContact.com. ConstantContact.com.
Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon.
You've got to be tough.
News Talk 105.9. WMAL, making sense of the news.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Take your next great vacation in Denver, the Mile High City. The food, expertly casual. The art, refined yet approachable. The outdoors, lightly adventurous. And we're completely hardcore about taking it easy. So get ready to explore and find a groove all your own. This is how we Denver. See it for yourself at visitdenver.com/discover.
It's UFC International Fight Week, and while hotels in Vegas may be sold out, there's still one vacancy left. The lightweight title at UFC 317. Grab your own crown with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. A new champ will be crowned for the vacant belt. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line in a high-stakes co-main event. New to DraftKings Sportsbook? Bet just $5 and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HEART. That's code HEART for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Agent eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms of responsible gaming resources, see bkng.co/audio.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. UMAL, making sense of the forecast. Because you never know what Mother Nature has in store. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
These people have absolutely nothing in common with you. They talk about the common man, and they're utterly uncommon. They view you as a mark, as targets. They're demagogues, they're propagandists. Nobody wanted to stand up to them. I had people coming to me, what do we do about this? What do we do about it? Finally, I said, I'll tell you, I'll do something about it. I'm not going to allow the millions and millions of people, conservative patriots, Tea Party, Reagan Revolution, Trump Revolution, MAGA, whatever, fall victim to these grifters. I'm not going to allow it. Now, I've posted plenty. You're welcome to read it or not. But you need to be very careful what you're dealing with here. They're sinister, and they're out for themselves. I'm going to finish with Bannon when we return, and then we're going to move on. We'll be right back. You know, Americans love using their credit cards, one of the most secure and hassle-free ways to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com, guardyourcard.com, paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 6:30. I'm Heather Curtis. While many federal agencies are moving out of the DMV, HUD is moving within the region from Southwest D.C. to Alexandria. Secretary Scott Turner says the D.C. headquarters.
Air quality is questionable. Leaks are nearly unstoppable.
The AFGE slamming the move, saying HUD will be kicking National Science Foundation employees out of their headquarters with no plan and no respect. Federal hate crime charges are filed against a man who police say threw Molotov cocktails at pro-Israel demonstrators in Boulder this month, setting some on fire. Mohammed Salman yelled "Free Palestine" as he hurled the flaming devices at the crowd. According to charging documents, a note in his car described Israel as a, quote, cancer entity, and he told police it was his dream to kill all of the demonstrators. Traffic and weather next.
It's UFC International Fight Week, and while hotels in Vegas may be sold out, there's still one vacancy left. The lightweight title at UFC 317. Grab your own crown with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. A new champ will be crowned for the vacant belt. Plus, the flyweight title is on the line in a high-stakes co-main event. New to DraftKings Sportsbook? Bet just $5 and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code HEART. That's code HEART for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms of responsible gaming resources, see gkng.co/audio.
Did your last vacation house for the whole crew leave you wishing there was a better way to stay together? Like with bedrooms that are all great, so everyone thinks they got the best room?
Whoa, this is amazing.
A full bathroom in every bedroom?
Hey, mine's got a bathroom.
A beach around an epic clear bay big enough for swimming, rope swinging, and even kayaking? All next door to Walt Disney World? Next trip, share a house at Evermore Orlando Resort. You won't believe what you resorted to before.
Why did I wait so long to see a retina specialist?
Retinal disease can steal your eyesight, but it doesn't have to. Patients who seek care from a retina specialist have the best chance of preventing vision loss due to age-related macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. AMD symptoms to look out for are distortion or warping of straight lines, as well as blurred or loss of central vision. Patients with diabetic retinopathy should seek treatment if they notice the appearance of spots or floaters or blurred and distorted vision. Visit seeforalifetime.org.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
My dance ties into Mother Nature. And in Wyoming, you realize how important it is to connect with everything around you. See the beautiful mountains, see the sagebrush. You're able to look out at that circle of life. In every direction, you can see it. Take what you learn and pass it on. I'm Jasmine Pickner-Bell, two-time world champion hoop dancer, mother, and educator. Learn more at travelwyoming.com.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. You can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit makeawish@wish.org.
Making sense of your world.
I don't know where to begin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Thanks for taking my call.
Making sense of the news. WMAL, making sense of the roads, because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Mark Levin, tough as hell.
That's why I like Mark Levin. And I'm not sure a lot of people like him. He's tough as hell. But I like him. I love him.
Call in now. 877-381-3811.
Let me finish with this article on Bannon. Throw him out with the rest of the garbage. And I've done my job. And I believe my job is to serve my audience, you. And to alert you and so many Americans who work hard about what's going on here. You know, this guy, Tarleton, among other things, he's a trust fund baby with the Swanson frozen food family. I don't hold that against him. I really don't. But you ought to stop pretending he's a common man, a blue-collar guy when he was born with a platinum spoon up in his mouth. The same with Fat Boy here, the Rosie O'Donnell lookalike. And so this gentleman writes, Jack McGillian, a writer and researcher who explores culture, society, and the impact of technology on daily life, at the Wrap. Take the infamous Build the Wall scheme, for example. Bannon raised millions of dollars from ordinary Americans, promising every penny would go to the wall. Trump couldn't finish, he said. And what happened? The money vanished into private pockets, luxury expenses, personal salaries. Bannon was arrested on a Chinese billionaire yacht, lounging in luxury while federal agents boarded. He was spared only by a last-minute Trump pardon. Yet somehow that only added to his legend. Then came the supergroup pitch, a global nationalist alliance, conferences in Hungary, meetings in Rome, and whispered influence over several European populists. Bannon wasn't interested in saving Main Street. He was franchising the culture war, exporting MAGA aesthetics to every corner of the globe, not because he believed in the cause, but because there's always a market for outrage. This is not the story of a man who joined the people. It's the story of a man who studied them, branded them, and built a media empire on their backs. He frames everything as a spiritual battle, America versus the elites, but Bannon is the elite. He just speaks rage fluently. So here's the question. If a man tells you he's at war with the empire while still cashing royalty checks from it, do you believe him? Or do you finally see it for what it is? Asked the writer. Bannon is not a warrior for the working man. He's a salesman in battle gear with a podcast mic and a passport full of donor meetings. He doesn't live among the people. He studies them, scripts their anger, sells it back to them. He rebranded himself so many times. This reminds me of Tarleton, rebranding himself so many times. He's rebranded himself so many times that the gentleman writes, naval officer, investment banker, Hollywood producer, political strategist. You'd think he was running a hedge fund in identity. And in a way, he is each persona, carefully tailored to meet the moment, each pivot engineered for maximum leverage. The flannel, the Catholic mysticism, the bunker aesthetic. It's all part of the shameless act. Underneath is a Machiavellian tactician who understands power not as something to dismantle, but to inhabit. Part P.T. Barnum, part Pat Buchanan. This is a man who preaches humility while flying private. Steve Bannon isn't leading a rebellion, he is selling one. You can look all this stuff up yourself, folks. The charges, the guilty pleas, the pardon, the money, the charity.
It's hot.
And what will happen tonight or tomorrow is you will see
outside, it's really hot.
About 6 or 12 articles by the entrail press with headlines trying to tell you that this is a battle within MAGA. This is a civil war within MAGA. A battle. That this is Levin versus this one. Or Levin
Broccoli's almost done. I'm hungry.
It is none of that. I came to the defense of the president. I came to the defense of the American Armed Forces. That's what I do. I came to the defense of freedom for our country and our allies in Israel who were under attack. That's all I did. And so the flack came in from these guys. And I'll be damned if I'm going to sit still like everybody else when these thugs gather. They gather in a group. That's what they do. They interview each other. They promote each other. They write about each other. Because they have to protect what they
Sounds like JC's chat.
94% of Republican MAGA supported what Donald Trump did.
JC's friends with everybody.
Not one. They warned you about World War III. They warned you about the Jews dragging us into another war. They warned you about the price of fuel going to $30 a gallon when it actually fell. Everything they said, all their fear-mongering proven wrong. And you know what? I hate to say this, they sit on the edge of their chairs. If something happens, they want to attack Trump and me and the people who spoke out. And basically what they're attacking is the United States military. The United States military. Which they trash all the time. All the time. Here's the deal. The good guys won. Our armed forces won. Our great commander-in-chief, brilliant, won. Our great allies, the Israelis. Our great friend, Prime Minister Netanyahu, they won. The allies won. You won. We won. The truth has been exposed. These guys have been exposed. All of them. It's out there to read. You can read it or not. These are facts. Facts. Read it or not. Don't worry about the names they use. Sloganeers. Isolationists are sloganeers. That's what they're. Marxists are sloganeers. Islamists are sloganeers. White supremacists are sloganeers. The Black Panthers are sloganeers. That's the genre in which these guys swim. It's the sewer. And I regret having to go into the sewer to deal with these guys, but that's where they are. They're sewer rats. And you got to go into the sewer to deal with them. The problem is, I can climb out. They can't. That's their habitat. That's what they do. They're not MAGA. They're not Reagan conservatives. They're not Trump conservatives. They're not patriots. They're a disgrace. No, the president isn't complicit in starting World War III, you jackass Carlson. No, the president didn't turn his back on MAGA. Fat boy, you fraudster. And I can go right down the list. These are the little...
Wow. There sits ODV up on JC's panel. Daughter of Truth went crazy. Oh, he's a pedophile. Hey, fuck you, you fucking stupid bitch, Alicia. Father of your children's a fucking crook. I hear ODV's a pedophile, but there he sits. JC using DA's contact in Governorsville. What's the matter, JC? Nothing sticking? You can't do shit. Wiggin can't do shit either. Wiggin thought he was going to play me. Go back and forth to your chat for your stupid chatter. Well, Patrick, why don't you go say something to JC? Why don't you go remind JC how much they accused him of being a pedophile? Is he not a pedophile or no? Was she wrong? But did she apologize to ODV? Or is ODV just disingenuous? Because Oscar David Villanueva, he doesn't dare come here. No. But JC went on for months and months and months. ODV's a pedophile. Here comes Daughter of Truth. She got on that bandwagon. Wanted JC to ban him.
He has been going through this horror show since May 2020, unheard of. This is the first time a sitting Israeli prime minister has ever been on trial. This long-running, politically motivated case concerning cigars. a Bugs Bunny doll, and numerous other unfair charges in order to do him great harm. Such a witch hunt for a man who has given so much is unthinkable to me. He deserves much better than this, and so does the state of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu's trial should be canceled immediately, or a pardon given to a great hero who has done so much for the state. Perhaps there is no one that I know who could have worked in better harmony with the President of the United States, me, than Bibi Netanyahu. It was the United States of America that saved Israel, and now it's going to be the United States of America that saves Bibi Netanyahu. This travesty of justice cannot be allowed. Capitals, exclamation mark. You know what Bannon said today? He trashed Netanyahu, said he was trying to drag us into a war, that we should drop Israel, that Israel's not our ally. Does that sound right to you, America? These bigoted pigs are disgusting. They don't represent you and me. When I was a young man, I admired Ronald Reagan. And we fought like hell to get him the nomination, and they tried to block him repeatedly. And over Donald Trump's left shoulder in the Oval Office is the official portrait of Ronald Reagan. He's a great admirer of Ronald Reagan, as I've come to learn. And I will tell you one other thing, and then we'll move on. When I met with President Trump on June 4th, I wasn't seeking a pardon. I didn't have to apologize for anything. He asked me to come meet with him. He'd asked me weeks before to come to dinner with my wife and him. I couldn't make it work because I want to stay on radio, TV, and do what I need to do. I told him I have to go to Florida. I go to Florida for several reasons, one of which is I have a very ailing older brother. I told him I can't. He said, well, look, Mark, as soon as you get back, contact me first. I want to get you in here. That's how that meeting occurred. I'm not going to get into the specifics. He was very inquisitive. He inquired of my views. And let me just put it this way. Everything you hear me say, everything, been consistent in private and public. I said to Mr. President, I'm being accused of leading a lobbying campaign of warmongers. And he laughed because he knows it's a lie. He said, Mark, if I want to know what your views are, you know what I do? I said, what, sir? I watch your Fox TV shows. 99% of what I know about your views, I watch on television with everybody else. You see, folks, the man has integrity. I like to think I have integrity. The people I've been talking to you about have no integrity. They're operators. They're looking for an angle. You'll notice at the inauguration, my wife and I, and he loves my wife even more than me. And he loves her because she's a great patriot, and she came to his defense and brought two serious matters in front of the Supreme Court. Not the other arguments, real matters involving the authority of states and the authority of states in federal elections. And the court almost took a look at both those cases, but apparently they couldn't get 4 justices. Word is they got 3. And he always thanked her for that. All these people say, Mark, never a Trumper. One day, because of Roger Stone, who I've come to like. I don't know him, but I like the guy. He's a fighter. I've been wrong about him. I think he's been wrong about me. It doesn't matter. When that SWAT team showed up at his house, it changed everything for me. Nobody should be treated like that. And I said, he said something, I said, I don't remember what it is. I said, you know what, from 3 or 4, I'm a never Trumper. And I've explained this story many times, but it doesn't seem to matter. Donald Trump picked up the phone and he said, Roger's a dear friend, but he doesn't speak for me. Not in this. And I went on the air and I explained that call. Did I not, Mr. Producer? That's my great never Trumper. I fought harder in defense of Donald Trump when he's been under attack criminally and civilly in 5 different jurisdictions. And he will be attacked again. And I will be loyal to him because he loves this country. He's done so much good for this country. Look what he's done to Iran that no other president would do or could do. And I will defend him, including against Carlson, Bannon, Gates, Green with an E, and the rest of these bastards. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. The world on edge.
Massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime.
A news cycle that never slows down.
This is the beginning of an Iranian retaliation.
Screen WMAL for breaking news.
We've got you covered on this.
Daytime, nighttime, weekdays, weekends. It's free on the WMAL app.
Have you seen that? It's pretty amazing.
For breaking news and to talk about it.
Well, your reaction pouring in, I expect that, and I welcome it.
Depend on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Good humor here. If you're somewhere sounding a lot like this. Remember to make a little time for this. The sweet, simple joy of your favorite good humor bar, such as strawberry shortcake. With irresistible crumb coatings, creamy layers, and fun fillings, it's the ultimate summer moment.
Good Humor, the original ice cream truck brand, available at a grocery store near you.
Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
My baby brother, a father.
Come on, it's time for his nap.
Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS.
SIDS?
You know, sudden infant death syndrome.
Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here.
Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nicehd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there is help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org. That's creditfairy.org. Brought to you by the Consumer Bankers Foundation, the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights Education Fund, and the Ad Council.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/liberty. That's ethos.com/liberty.
Tax Network USA is celebrating America's birthday by giving you 10% off all services through July 4th. Now, if you missed the April 15th deadline or owe back taxes, don't wait. You need Tax Network USA right now. They have an edge, a preferred direct line to the IRS. They know who to deal with and who to avoid, and they won't back down until they get the best settlement for you. Call 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Levin, Levin.
Making sense of your world.
There are a lot of things that really tick me off.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Washington's best way to wake up. O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9 on WMAL.
So, America, we declare victory. And we move on. Unless I decide not to move on. We'll see. But I think they've been exposed. They were not able to damage this military operation. I've informed millions and millions of you about this internal threat. The effort to hijack this MAGA movement, the conservative movement. You'll notice when President Trump says peace through strength, that's Reagan too. And he talks about make America great again, that's Reagan too. I'm Reagan and Trump. Carlson was never around. These other guys were never around. But whether they're around or not, their exploitation is unacceptable. They don't represent the forgotten man, blue-collar people, working Americans, electricians, plumbers, cops, firefighters. What have they done for you? What have they said about you? All right. Now's a good time to buy a home. The answer is almost definitely yes. You're in a buyer's market. If you've been sitting on the sidelines, you need to call American Financing right away. Right away. The first step to getting a loan is getting the right loan, and they can pre-approve you in 24 hours or less. There are more houses on the market today than there have been in the last 5 years. Interest rates are competitive. Home prices have been stable. That means you can find a great deal while locking in a monthly payment that fits your budget. Plus, with home equity building over time, your investment grows, making home ownership a smart, long-term financial decision. If you continue to pay rent, you're just paying your landlord's mortgage. Think about that. And you don't need 20% down. You could be in your home with as little as 3% down. And it is a buyer's market right now. It is a buyer's market. Plus, there are down payment assistance programs to help make home ownership even easier. Folks, don't wait any longer. Call American Financing today. Here's the number, 888-900-1828, 888-900-1828, 888-900-1828, or visit AmericanFinancing.net.
NMLS 2334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Sorry about that. When we return, I want to focus in on this guy who wants to be mayor of New York City and why it is a national concern, grave concern. And no, media, not because he's Muslim. It's because he's an Islamist who hates America and hates Jews. You know, media, you've been giving an awful lot of support to people like that. You're highly contemptible and disgusting. The Hamas media, the Al Jazeera media. No, you don't get to call us names. We call you names. I'll be right back.
Making sense of your world.
Greatly appreciated.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
I love listening to you.
Making sense of the news. Making sense of the border.
Homeland security is right there at the tippy top of American concerns.
WMAL's Vince Colonnades. Weekdays at noon. You've got to be tough. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Need a work truck you can count on? Upgrade your ride with Bob Johnson Ford of Pulaski's great deals. Through July 7th, get $5,000 off a massive selection of Super Duty and Transit vans. Visit BobJohnsonFord.com. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Making sense of the headlines. Making sense of your world. WMAL's Vince Colonnades.
Thank you for all you do on the radio show.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
We're the stronger than we look type. I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2. The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 7. I'm Heather Curtis. Kilmar Abrego Garcia will stay in jail at least for now, even though a judge will be released in his own recognizance while he awaits trial on federal human smuggling charges. His attorneys are concerned that he'll be released, immediately detained by ICE, and deported before he goes on trial. Keeping him in jail will give attorneys more time to debate whether prosecutors can prevent him from being deported before the trial.
Well, that was good while it
Garcia's wife,
lasted.
Jennifer Vasquez-Sura, speaking before the hearing.
Today, in honor of Kilmar and our wedding anniversary, I will celebrate our fight and the fight for all those who stood with us and refused to give up.
Adding,
we will not stop until my husband is free.
Abrego Garcia has pleaded not guilty to the charges. The Trump administration is suing Maryland over deportations.
The lawsuit targets an order blocking the Trump administration from immediately deporting people who filed paperwork with the Maryland District Court attempting to review their detainment. The administration argues the pause violates a Supreme Court ruling and violates the president's powers to enforce the law. Court officials have not commented on the lawsuit. Attorney General Pam Bondi in a statement saying, quote, President Trump's executive authority has been undermined since the first hours of his presidency by an endless barrage of injunctions designed to halt his agenda. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown will not be filing any charges against 4 officers involved in a fatal pedestrian collision on the Beltway in Prince George's County in February. A woman who police say carjacked a Mercedes earlier in the day was hit and killed while running across the Beltway to avoid getting arrested. Officers were monitoring the stolen Mercedes in Oxon Hill when they say Anaya Red got out of it and got into it and drove off. When they tried to pull her over, she allegedly drove into a parking lot, crashed, and ran. Brown says Red climbed over a fence and onto the Beltway where she was hit by 2 vehicles in the inner loop. Brown says his investigation found no evidence that officers showed a reckless disregard for human life or committed any crimes. A 17-year-old charged with first-degree murder as an adult in connection with a fatal hit-and-run in D.C. According to court documents, Kyrie Young and accomplices followed 55-year-old Donnell Phillips from an ATM and then intentionally slammed a vehicle into him while he was walking in a crosswalk on 12th and U Streets Northwest in May. Prosecutors say Young and others then stole Phillips' debit card and went back to the same ATM to get his money. Phillips was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. Police found the vehicle and evidence that led them to Young. He was arrested yesterday and ordered held without bond today. The search continues for his accomplices. After seeing their rivals take a statewide bus tour in a show of unity, Virginia's Republican election tickets finally scheduled a joint rally.
We're bringing everybody together.
The top of the ticket, gubernatorial nominee Winsome Sears had gone 2 months without speaking with John Reed, who's the nominee for lieutenant governor. He told WMAL last week.
I can't worry about it. I just got to focus on all of us winning.
Reed was on the outs after Governor Glenn Youngkin asked him to step down over steamy pictures that were posted online. Reed denied any knowledge of the photos and declined to drop out. But now Reed and Sears have spoken, and together with incumbent Attorney General Jason Miyares, the 3 are planning to rally on Tuesday in Northern Virginia. John Matthews on WMAL and WMAL.com.
Traffic and weather next.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of
Why is
toe
that
fungus.
doing that?
You can check it out at crystalflesh.com.
That's fucked up.
Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Here's Michelle Murray in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Problems continue in the district on DC 295 northbound after Benning Road, where there is still a serious accident. Traffic is squeezing by to the left. This is along the right side of the roadway, and traffic is jammed up from the 11th Street Bridge. Now, on the Beltway, a couple of things to watch out for. On the inner loop of the Beltway at Kenilworth Avenue, an accident in the clearing stages, but you will find delays from College Park. And on the inner loop before reaching Marlborough Road, 2 right lanes still blocked because of debris in the roadway. Traffic jams up from Route 50 and still slow on the inner loop through Tysons and Bethesda. And the outer loop is very heavy from River Road to the Claire Barton Parkway and from the Springfield interchange to the Wilson Bridge. Now from GarageStoryFair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch and Forecast.
Rain and thunderstorms will be quieting down. This evening, our temperature is 81 to 84 degrees, and a high temperature Thursday, 95 degrees, but it will feel like we're up around 98 to 104, and thunderstorms for the afternoon. 7 News Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now, 84 degrees in Washington, feels like 91. I'm Heather Curtis on WMAL.
He's here. Now broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. We have a great guest on hour 3, our buddy Byron Donalds. Now, in the context of talking about this America-hating, Jew-hating Islamist who's getting the Democrat Party nomination for mayor of New York City, which has the largest concentration of Jews on the face of the earth. Think about that. And we'll get into where he stands and what he really is. Just know this. Global intifada, Global Intifada, Global Intifada. Intifada is a war, terrorism war against the Jews. He said he has supported it. He said it's recently 2023, and the other day he said, look, that's just a rallying cry. It doesn't really mean anything. It means a lot. Intifada 1, Intifada 2 resulted in the murder of hundreds and hundreds of Jews, blowing up school buses, blowing up pizza parlors in Israel. And this guy blows it off. As a student, he led the chapter, he created the chapter and then led it of Students for Justice in Palestine, which, as you know, is a Hamas front group. He's campaigned for BDS, which is a war on Israel's economy, trying to persuade countries, institutions, our states, colleges and universities, other businesses, to cut off all commercial
are you
dealings,
going to return my
dealings with the state of
dentures?
Israel to bankrupt it. This is the guy who wants to be mayor.
I said you could use
But
them.
before we
I
get
didn't
into
say
that, I
you
want to
could
lay
keep
the
them.
context for this. This is very, very important. As I've said here many times, and as I've written many times, Marxism and Americanism are incompatible. What I've also said here many times, and I've written, is that Islamism and Americanism are incompatible. Now, what do I mean by that? Is that because I hate Muslims? Has nothing to do with that.
Nothing whatsoever. But you got to be able to speak the truth. You know, you got to be able to speak the truth, whether it's Carlson or Bannon or the rest of them. And you got to be able to speak the truth about this. This is life and death stuff. As an example, the regime that runs Iran is not going to stop. There's only so much a president can do in his term. We took out their nukes. The prime minister defeated them militarily. But they're not going to stop. Why? Because they are zealots. They are fanatics. They're throwbacks to the 7th century. Let me explain. First, let's talk about ourselves. I think this is important. This is a little cerebral, and that's important. I like to get back to cerebral. We're going to get out of the sewer now. We're going to talk Mark talk. You and I, we believe God is the sovereign. I don't care if you're an atheist or an agnostic. You don't have to believe that, but you benefit from it, and I'll explain that in a minute too. The people in this country benefit from the Judeo-Christian belief system, whether they are Jewish or Christian or not. You don't have to be a Jew, you don't have to be a Christian, but you benefit from the Judeo-Christian value, belief, principle system. You also benefit from the Enlightenment. From the Enlightenment. Now, this is all in my new book, by the way, on power. In one section of it. It's not the whole thing. But I want you to hear me out, because this affects what's going on right now in New York and the whole country and Iran and all the rest of it. We believe God is the sovereign. Read your Declaration of Independence. You don't even have to open the Bible. Read your Declaration of Independence. Natural law, natural rights, unalienable rights, universal truth. Where does all that come from? Does it come from man? Your founders in 1776 issued a Declaration of Independence. In essence, a declaration of war against the most powerful military on the face of the earth, the British. And they wanted to make it clear to the whole world. Why? Why they are going to fight the most powerful military on the face of the earth. It was almost a forever war, you know. It went on for 7 years, 8 years. But that aside. And what did they cite? Among other things. The core of it was, we have unalienable rights. We have the right to be free. We have the right to representative government. There's natural law, natural rights, unalienable rights that no man, no government can give or take. The sovereign does. Okay, you with me right now? Now look, people can preach religion a hell of a lot better than I can. I'm not preaching religion. I'm preaching your history. Whether you like it or not, and most of you do. God is the sovereign. That's what the people that wrote the Declaration believed. That's what the people who fought for your freedom in your country believed. Hence, God's children, when mere mortals are making a government, God's children are the sovereign. The children of God, who he created, are the sovereign. Because he says so. You're the sovereign. Not a man-made government, not a Politburo, not a dictator. You're the sovereign. Okay? Now, what did the founders do? Well, we know they believed in that. That's the Declaration. And then they write this Constitution, right? Stick with me. I'm going to be doing this all hour. It's very, very important. And again, it's all in my book on power. If you like what I'm talking about, you find it intriguing and compelling, get the book, because it's explained in much more detail in a book. But let me continue. This is just part of the book. And it relates to everything, including this friggin' nominee. Stick with me. The Constitution.
Where did they get this stuff about representative government? Now, that's not in the Bible. That's not in the Torah. Consensual government. Where does that come from? They have to divide power, separation of powers. That you can't have an overbearing, centralized government that lords over you. Where do they get this stuff from? The Enlightenment. From John Locke, from Montesquieu, and others. Originally Aristotle. Among the Romans, Cicero. Many. But your framers of the Constitution were focused on Locke and Montesquieu. Montesquieu's mentioned multiple times in the Federalist Paper. Now, how do we know they relied on all of this? Because they tell us. I include the letter. Thomas Jefferson was asked. He was accused. He said, you didn't come up with all these ideas, Jefferson. What makes you so great? You didn't come up with all these ideas. In effect, that's what the guy wrote him. And he wrote back, I never said I did. I used the accumulated, agreed upon knowledge that existed in our country. And of course, the Declaration speaks of this God 7 times. The Creator, Providence, so forth. And then he cites Aristotle and Cicero and Locke and Montesquieu and others. He tells us that's what he relied on when he made the first draft of the Declaration. That's what they embraced, all of them. So what does that tell you? As I explain in my book, America was founded with a fusion of Judeo-Christian values and the Enlightenment. Judeo-Christian values and the Enlightenment. Now let's turn to Marxism. Well, they don't believe in any religious values or faith values. They believe in the elimination of faith. They believe the state is the demigod. They believe the state gives rights, gives freedom, takes freedom to the people, of course. The people make all these decisions, and we know that's a lie, don't we? People make no decisions. There's no democratic aspect to it whatsoever. But the proletariat will rise up, destroy the bourgeoisie, destroy the existing vestiges of any prior society, the chains of prior societies, the feudal systems, agrarian systems, all systems, capitalism. The word capitalism was first written by Marx. We must destroy what exists, even the family relationship, the nuclear family. It must all be destroyed. Faith is nothing more than mysticism, and it stands into the way of progress and modernity and all the rest. That's in the book too, just explaining it. That's Marxism. And the paradise will be the workers' paradise. Isn't it funny how they always predict what's going to be the end result? You can't predict any end result when you're talking about human behavior. There's so many fallacies in Marxism, and I touch on a number of them in the book. But I don't want to talk about Marxism. I want to talk about Islamism. Now, what does Islamism have in common with Marxism? Why is it that Islamists and Marxists are often the same, or they march together in Columbia, or UCLA, or Harvard, or whatever? Why is it that the Marxists like Bernie Sanders and the Islamists like Tlaib, the Marxists like AOC and the Islamists like Omar and down the list, why is it that they form such a tight alliance? Because the means that justify the ends. What do the Islamists want? They tell us what they want. I don't have to imply anything. Just because they don't read it in the New York Times or they read it and they don't care, it's irrelevant to me. The Islamists want the same thing the Marxists want, the absolute destruction of the West, the absolute destruction of Judaism and Christianity and Judeo-Christian values. That's what Islamists want. That's why they march together. Now you'll say, well, the Islamists, they believe in God. The Marxists don't. Doesn't matter. It's only if they take the world over that will become relevant. Then they fight among themselves and decide. It's almost like Trotsky and Stalin
Two communists who fight and decide, no, this is the way we rule. No, this is the way that we rule. Not an exact parallel, but good enough. The Islamists and the Marxists at some point, God forbid if we don't exist anymore. And by the way, it's not just Jews and Christians. It's Muslims who don't believe what they believe. It's Hindus, it's Buddhists, it's atheists, it's agnostic. Doesn't matter. You don't conform. You don't conform for Marxism, you die. You don't conform for Islamism, you die. Nothing else matters. One says it's the calling of paradise on earth. The other says it's the only way to serve our God. It's the only way that we can reach our God is destroy all this other stuff that's in between. That's what they write. That's what they say. That's what they believe. That's why the regime in Iran, unless it is completely obliterated, is not going away. And neither are their nuclear ambitions. That's different from saying Trump should do it, the Israelis should do it, the world should do it. I'm not getting into that right now. I'm talking about the mindset. And so, of course, Islamists are the enemy. They're our enemy. They're the enemy of Americanism. They're the enemy of the West. That's what they are. That's why they say death to America, death to Israel. What they mean is death to everybody who disagrees with us. Everybody. And now one of them is the Democrat nominee for mayor of New York. Does that mean he's a terrorist who wants to kill everybody? No, of course not. In order to westernize the revolution, and we know this from, among other things, the 1993 bugging of a hotel room at the Marriott outside the Philadelphia International Airport, where Hamasians met, and they created CARE. And everything they said was taken down, and among other things, it's available, a lot of it for you on the internet, for the New York Times, if you want to take a look. And by the way, as a footnote, to call Charlie Kirk a racist makes me sick to my stomach. He and I don't always agree, but he's earnest, okay? He's not a racist. He's not an anti-Semite. Some people are. Some people are, and I've called them out. He's not one of them. That's my 2 cents. And so what they decided to do is sort of Americanize themselves, get people elected to Congress, get people in the media, create CARE, which would claim to be the greatest Muslim civil rights organization in America, where they push the agenda to try to take over cities, state governments, local governments, have a big presence in Congress. They play the long game. We do not in the West. We don't play any game. Half the time we don't even know. You know, they're playing football and we're playing bocce. It's like that. So this guy is the Democrat nominee for the mayor of New York City, is both a Marxist and an Islamist. He's a socialist. He's not a socialist. He's a Marxist. Socialism is bad enough. That's an economic theory. It's not an ideological doctrine. He's a Marxist who believes in socialism. And he's an Islamist. He said so and then denied it. He's an anti-Semite. Oh, no, I'm not. Just because I favor BDS, just because I'm opposed to Zionism, which means the state of Israel. That's what it means. Just because I believe in the globalization of the Intifada, the globalization of terrorism. No, I don't mean that. It's just a phrase of oppressed people. Now you know. It's in the book, On Power. Grab your copy because it's going to be relevant throughout the next 10 years. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details. I need a coffee. And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Former U.S. Navy SEAL Sean Ryan captures real stories about sacrifice and strength.
Everybody has the opportunity. It all depends on your mindset. How does that work? You know good and bad, right from wrong. We heard a Mayday call. Evil can't hide. Bird gets hit, crashes. You're never the same. And it's up to you. Just do the right thing, and you can do it.
The Sean Ryan Show.
I dig into everything in the world. It's my job to expose what I know.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform. Making sense of the headlines, making sense of your world.
My nephew's supposed to show up, but he hasn't showed up yet.
What a nice call. Thank you very much.
Weekdays, noon to 3 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Whalen take you behind the scenes of one of the greatest shows of all time.
Talkville, folks. You know what this is. This is a rewatch podcast, if you didn't know.
15 episodes, 24 dead, 29 saved. It was a good episode. It was enjoyable.
I'm going to end this stream because I got something I need to do. And I don't want to leave the stream up while I'm doing it.
Talkville, the Smallville rewatch.
So if you wanted to come up on the panel, you're going to have to wait till later because I'm not holding no panel. Later I will, though. Goodbye. See you later.
I can't believe it.
Seriously, it's ours? Is this real life?